All right.
Oh, we've
We're
got
live.
people to get in here. Okay. Good morning, everybody. It is December the 30th, just in case everybody has forgotten. And it's a moment of important transition, important introspection. Hopefully already a month ago, you made your plans for, we've all made hopefully our plans for 2023. And it's a moment when it's exciting. And it's exciting because we can say goodbye to all the mess that we made during 2022, if we made any, which I did. I'm sure other people may have. And all the exciting possibilities that we have for 2023. 2023 is pregnant with possibilities, good possibilities. So today we're gonna talk a little bit about. By the way, the slaughterhouse of failure is not in our destiny. We will persevere until we succeed. Og Mandino. So today we're going to talk a little bit about complacency, mediocrity, routine versus resilience, inspiration, dramatic change. And it all has to do with mindset, habits, and willpower. Those are basically the subjects we're going to try and cover today. Dan.
Yeah, what's exciting about this particular topic is that mindset. Once again, mindset drives everything that we do. It can drive your habits. It can drive your willpower. And I put mindset kind of up on a pedestal. And if we're talking about willpower, we're talking about habits. Willpower is next, and then habits are probably third, because habits are defined by our mindset and our willpower, and our confidence in ourselves to do what we need to do to get ahead. And so mindset really has a lot to do with our success in life. It can add to our sense of confidence or take away from it. It can drive our habits. If you have a positive growth mindset, it's going to drive your habits simultaneously with that positive growth mindset, right? Your habits are going to be based on that positive mindset. Your habits are going to be positive. They're going to be things that help you grow. Are you getting up in the morning and reading for 10 or 15 minutes? Are you journaling? Are you affirming what you want? All of these different things are going to be driven by your mindset, right? And then for me, willpower is kind of a subset of mindset, right? Willpower is what is going to really drive you through those difficult times. Willpower is what is going to keep you focused on your habits, right? So it kind of you know what they say about some things flow downhill. I'm not going to say the word, but kind of mindset's the same way. Everything flows downhill from mindset, right? And your success is going to be dependent on whether or not you have that growth mindset, right? And the people that you're going to see succeed and who are going to succeed on these calls are the people who have that growth mindset, where you're always learning, you're always educating yourself, you're always changing your habits, switching out the ones that aren't working with ones that are more in line with your mindset, right? And what your goals are and how you're going to be successful. So people with that growth mindset believe that their talents can be honed over time, right? And your habits can be honed over time. And your willpower, believe it or not, can be honed over time. And the way you do that is through practice, learning, watching, listening, and asking others for help.
In all of these things, though, there is often, or there has to be sometimes, a spark which will motivate somebody to change and come out of the comfort zone of mediocrity in that routine of static mindset. So, for example, somebody says, I've been smoking for 30 years and, you're not going to change me now. Until a dramatic event immediately around that person will trigger something a death in the family or something like that, say, oh my goodness, now there's a really serious motivation for that person to come out of that mediocrity, out of that mindset of a stagnant mindset, and say, my gosh, I got to do something about it. Because not everybody has the engine. Well, everybody's got the same engine, but not everybody has the same spark of willpower to change. Sometimes we need something that's going to shock us into doing something. Look, I look in the mirror and I see that I've got this belly going on. I think, oh my goodness, I'm pregnant. That is a shock. I got to do something about it. And I'm just being silly, but that's what it sometimes it takes something to shock us to get out of, the frog syndrome, where we just boil in the water. The frog just eventually dies. We've got to be shocked out of it. And that's where we can shift our mindset and our willpower to doing something that's more constructive. So we also have another problem. We have a solution where people say, birds of a feather flock together. When you get people of a static mindset, or people that are just mediocre in their thinking, they all kind of huddle together because that's their comfort zone. And it's only when you look at that and you say, my goodness, have you thought about it? 3 years ago you were this and now you're that. We've got to change that. But it needs to re-examine that. We need to re-examine that from a static mindset to a growth mindset, but we need to find some spark to make it happen. Not everybody is self-motivated.
Your mindset and willpower are the psychological fortitude that we have. Habits are those things that we do physically that are going to help us reach our goals. There's a great quote by John Maxwell: "You will never change your life until you change something you do daily. The secret of your success is found in your daily routine." So is your daily routine serving you, or are you serving your daily routine? Examine your daily routine. How many things in that daily routine are actually helping you? And how many things in that daily routine are actually hindering you from reaching your goals, from being as successful as you possibly could be? Every single one of us on this call has the ability to do things that you never thought possible. But those things need to be cultivated through your habits and your daily routine. And you need to get rid of those daily habits that you do that aren't leading you towards your wildly important goal, towards the success that you want to achieve. Same thing with people. When you bring up, Lawrence, about birds of a feather flock together, who's in your flock? Is there a bunch of people who have a fixed mindset in your flock, or do you have a bunch of people with a growth mindset in your flock? And if your flock's not serving you well, find a different flock. Because birds of a feather do flock together, right? And they're just going to bring you down. There's a lot of people out there that aren't looking to improve their lives, who are just happy doing the things that the way they've always done them. Those aren't the people that I want in my life. I want people in my life who are always striving to do better for themselves, for others, who are positive 99% of the time. It's not possible to be positive 100% of the time. I'm not positive 100% of the time. But as long as I'm positive a majority of the time, and I have that growth mindset a majority of the time, as long as I have that willpower a majority of the time, and as long as I stick to those habits that are going to help me find success through my daily routine, I'm going to be successful. Right? And so, 2023 is right around the corner. You have time to seek out those people that that are successful, that have that growth mindset, and start integrating your life with people that have something that you want, that have found a level of success that you want, that you haven't. Find out from them, listen to them, talk to them, ask for help. People with a growth mindset are willing to help others grow because they've seen the power of that growth and that mindset. So these habits are these small decisions you make and actions that you perform every single day. It's a choice that we make, right? And then once it becomes a habit, we stop thinking about it because it's serving us well. But we still continue to do it because it's ingrained in us that that is something that we need to do to be successful. What's interesting is habits account for 40% of our behaviors on any given day. 40%. Not even half. I would bet that most people, their habits account for 10 or 20% of what they do on a daily basis, especially when it comes to talking about success. But the good news is if you're not at that 40% or increase, we should be looking to increase that percentage. The good thing is that habits are learned, right? So they can be changed. So look at those habits that you have that need to be changed, swap them out for better habits, alter them to serve you better, and move forward. And let's all have the best 2023 that we possibly can.
Well, Dan, I think one of the things that as you're saying, as you're talking about the habits and positive habits and so on, one of the reasons that I think is important to have our Ruby call is if we are striving to help people and help ourselves better our results each year, and we're having a Ruby call every week, for example. When I say Ruby call, we could have it whatever we want to call it. A Ruby call every week where we are introspecting and we're commenting and we're helping each other be aware of how we can improve what we're doing. Because sometimes if we just hibernate into our own little cocoons and, we think we're doing great until we put our head out and we see what everybody else is doing, say, my goodness, I've been left behind. Or, wow, I'm really doing well. But we need to have some kind of measures that often we can't measure ourselves so well as we can when we have a group of like-minded people that are striving for success and for improvement in every aspect of what they do. I know I try and improve in everything I do, how I say things, when I say things, who I'm helping, whatever it is in our lives. It's that circle of life. And if our circle of influence are people that are better than us, then we will improve. And we've got to understand also that we have no limitations to what our habits can be. We've just got to tweak them and change them, and they may be uncomfortable. It may be uncomfortable to get up an hour earlier, to do one more, the power of one more. That has changed a lot of people. But that is a mind shift, and it's a habit of doing something different, doing something that can have a better result. And I think that's what we've got to strive to do. And we can do that with the power of the people we choose to have in our circle group.
Yeah, and then moving on from that, once you've built that growth mindset, you have to have the willpower to persist until you succeed, or persevere until you succeed, right? You got willpower is what's going to take you through those difficult times, those when you feel defeated, when you fail, are you going to get back up? Willpower is what's going to propel you forward after that. And so, but willpower is like a muscle, right? It's energy is finite. It's only going to last so long, but it can easily be drained from overexertion. And I'm going to give you an example. Most people, as we move into the new year, a lot of us are going to be making dieting and weight loss goals and all these other things. But as an example, most people look at diet or trying to lose weight as from a perspective of willpower, right? I will turn down desserts. I will eat less. I will exercise more. I will skip breakfast. I will force myself to walk 3 times a week for 30 minutes. Then I'm going to lose my 15 pounds and I'll be happy. But by doing that, you've depleted all of your willpower, and it's finite, right? So all of this just to reach an arbitrary goal. But if you look at it from a perspective of habit, habits aren't finite. So you just really need to build a lifestyle habit or lifestyle habits, right? And make them habits instead of looking at it from a perspective of willpower and not doing things that you shouldn't be doing to reach that goal. But it's so it's not really about willpower. It's about integrating the appropriate habits into your daily life. So that's why I say that it trickles down. You've got your growth mindset, then you have your willpower, and then you have your habits. But most people exert their willpower on achieving temporary fixes, but it should really be expended on developing these lifelong habits. So how do you develop these lifelong habits? There's a concept called habit stacking. It's an easy way to build new habits into your life by stacking it on top of something you're currently doing. So, if you get up in the morning and you brush your teeth, that's your current habit, right? You can meditate. That's going to be your new habit. 3 minutes of meditation. So you stack it on top of your toothbrushing habit, right? So you say, I'm going to brush my teeth and then I'm going to meditate. So you just stack these habits one on top of another and they become easier to incorporate into your daily life. Because that one habit is already strongly wired into your brain, it's easier to add a new habit on top of that because it's more efficient for that network of neurons to build that new pathway for that habit.
But the habit will become, if you plan it right, the habit becomes the funnest thing you can do because you're having a positive result from something, and that habit now fuels the continuation of doing something that's really cool, that's positive, that you enjoy doing. And it's a habit that at the beginning may have been something that isn't so easy to get into. But once you get into the habit, you see the results, that result will fuel the kind of like, I don't say the endorphins, but something to really motivate you to keep into a good habit. And it's automatic. A good habit then is just a lifestyle choice. And a lifestyle choice is something you don't have to think about. It's an automatic thing. You mentioned brushing your teeth. Zig Ziglar said, only brush the teeth you want to keep. So, if you want to keep your teeth, well, brush your teeth. If you want to keep them, well, I brush and I do 2 different types of toothpaste. One is the tooth whitening in the morning, and one is the plaque removal in the evening. So they both toothpaste, same company, same to AP24, but it's a routine, it's a habit, it's something that I feel good about, and as a consequence, that feeds our motivation to a healthy lifestyle choice because we're stacking positivity on positivity. We're stacking a success on a success. And when that happens, it's effortless. It's effortless. We only have to get out of the zone of where we are if we really need to do something that is a big change and a mindset change that we need to do for certain things, but we need to take that first step as well. And the first step comes from having the courage to do it, to say, well, I'm going to do this. And then even that's one of the reasons we talk about putting it out there that this is what I'm going to do this year, because you can lie to yourself about something and no one's going to know the difference. But you can't sort of put it out there to the universe and say, this is what I'm going to do. And you're going to have mud on your face if you don't do it. So there's a motivation there to stay on the course, to make the changes, to make the difference, to be the difference, to feel good about the difference. And that may inspire others as well to do the same thing.
Yeah. And you know, that's where that whole birds of a feather flock together. You know, you can be an example for others, or others can be an example for you. Right. And to do that, you need to surround yourself with those types of people. And that's why we get together on these calls. I mean, all of us on these calls are like-minded. You wouldn't be here if you didn't have a growth mindset. You're trying to learn, you're trying to educate yourself. You're surrounding yourself with others who think just like you or similarly. Right. But we only get together a couple times a week. But as a team, you get together with your teammates as often as you'd like. And, you know, for me, and I've said this, you know, a bunch of times, one of the benefits of this business, the biggest benefits of this business has been to surround myself with like-minded people. Right. And doing these calls has helped me grow tremendously, because I need to research and I need to read and I need to educate myself and I need to learn and I need to listen. You know, and listen to videos and, you know, preparing for these calls. And so, you know, all of these things that we're talking about are things that I have personally integrated into my life. I didn't always do these things because in my previous profession, I didn't feel like I needed to, because I was working for somebody else, because I was, you know, their goals were my goals. You know, I was told what my goals were. I was told what my quota was. I was, you know, how I put that into place was kind of up to me, but, you know, I wasn't an entrepreneur. You know, I was working for somebody else, whether it was W-2 or 1099, I was still working for somebody. So, you know, if you're going to be an entrepreneur, you need to change your mindset. And everybody on this call you're obviously entrepreneurs, because you're here and you're trying to build a business that's going to serve you and your family, you know, for years to come. And so, you know, it behooves you to start building these habits. Figure out what habits serve you the best and move forward from there. Get rid of the habits that aren't serving you. You know, cultivate your willpower, because that can be learned. Habits can be learned. You know, all of these things can be learned. Growth mindset can be learned. So how are you learning that? If you're just getting on these calls for 30 minutes a week, that's probably not enough. You know, you need to read Carol Dweck's book about mindset. There's a lot of other great books out there about mindset and being an entrepreneur, and, you know, what that means in you know, 2023, because it's a little bit different than what being an entrepreneur was 50 years ago, because we have this whole digital presence and branding and, you know, all of these different things. So we do a book club on our team every month. And so next month's book is going to be all about talking about branding and growth, building a growth mindset and all of these different things. And all of you are welcome to join in on that book club. We're going to get together twice in January to chat and discuss the book. So if that's something that you want to be involved in, reach out to any one of us, Michael, Lawrence, or myself, and we'll get you plugged in. And we're doing that every single month in 2023, going over a different book. Lawrence, you found something funny.
I did. I swear, while you were talking, I wrote down here to say exactly that, book club, because this is how attuned you and I are on the subject of mindset, because you took the words straight out of my mouth. And I was about to say, historically, I've always had I've had a think tank. I've had a group of friends that were very successful in whatever they were doing. One of them was a jeweler, for instance, nothing to do with anything in particular, but it was a think tank where we would discuss things that were pertinent to growth, mindset growth, to mind growth, to how we could better everything, the world or whatever. And the book club is one of those ways where we can actually get together and discuss things that stimulate our thinking, our opinions. And I think the book club is extremely important because we learn not only from what is written by somebody which is his or her opinion, but which stimulates our own personal growth as well. And I think that's why it's important. And I 100% endorse that. And I just thought it was amazing that you said that at exactly the right and exactly the same time as I was going to say it. So
yeah. So the book is that we're going to be going over in January is called titled Entrepreneurial You. Monetize your expertise, create multiple income streams, and thrive. So it's going to be talking about branding and digital presence and how you become an entrepreneur, how you think like an entrepreneur, and then the importance of multiple streams of income. And most of us on here are here because we're creating multiple streams of income, right? So join us in January. Love to have more of you involved in that. We have anywhere from 5 to 10 people right now, but it's a great time to get together and kind of discuss some of these concepts and hear from other people. So it's actually a lot of fun. So we're going to be doing that. If you want to put it on your calendar, the 11th and the 25th of January, 8:00 Eastern time, and we can get you the link moving forward if that's something that you want to be involved in.
Yeah, we need to get the correct link because I actually had the wrong link and I've sent it out, and I know Jim and some other people wanting to get on it, and I sent the wrong link inadvertently, so I apologize for that.
All right, well, it's 10:00. Any questions, comments? Or did Lawrence and I do a fantastic job once again?
Yeah, I can add something to that, to the habits. As habits become routine, they become less interesting and less satisfying, and then we get bored. So, failure, the enemy of success is not failure, it's boredom, because we can all be motivated to work hard, but then when that boredom sets in, that's what we have to overcome. So, professionals stick to the schedule, amateurs get distracted by life. That's all I wanted to add.
Awesome. Good stuff. And that's coming from somebody who's a professional and he sticks to the strategy every single day, day in and day out.
Oh, and by the way,
and he's seeing tremendous success.
Can I also just bring up that John has reached the highest level, his highest score so far, his best sales so far since he started. He's absolutely knocking it out of the park, and his results reflect it. Spot on. He's reached really, really good results this month, but it's every month. It's every single month it's progressed, and now it's the best he's ever had. So well done, John.
It's that willpower, right? It's that willpower to keep doing what you're doing every single day, even if you're not seeing the results that you want to see one day or 2 days in a row or a whole week or a couple of weeks. It's the willpower to say, look, what I've been doing is working. I'm just having a bad day or a bad week. I'm going to keep running with the plan, with the same strategy that I have, and because it's been working. So
good. All right.
Jim's kind of locked up, so I don't think.
No.
Okay. Your video's stuck, but okay, we can hear you.
Oh, my video is. Oh, wow. That's because my wife is in the other room on another call with a whole group doing social media. This house is fire, But I want to thank you two for an entire year of consistent, persistent leadership for all of us. And I really think this is a good time, the last day of the year, to thank you sincerely for that. And I hope you don't change.
There will be no change.
Thank you.
Lawrence keeps me going, even if I don't want to do it. Lawrence talks me into doing it every week.
Yeah.
No.
This is a great
That's-
contribution, and certainly I'm very grateful for the contribution you guys make every week. I thank you for that. Would
Yeah.
it be a good moment to read you just a very brief thing, which I think is very germane here?
Absolutely.
Okay. I am your constant companion. I'm your greatest helper or your heaviest burden. I'll push you onward or drag you down to failure. I'm completely at your command. Half the things you do, you might just as well turn over to me, and I'll be able to do them quickly and correctly. I'm easily managed. You must merely be firm with me. Show me exactly how you want something done, and after a few lessons, I'll do it automatically. I'm the servant of all great men, and alas, of all failures as well. Those who are great, I've made them great. Those who are failures, I've made them failures. I'm not a machine, though I work with the precision of a machine, plus the intelligence of man. You may run me for profit or run me for ruin. It makes no difference to me. Take me, train me, be firm with me, and I will put the world at your feet. Be easy with me, and I'll destroy you. Who am I? I'm habit.
That's fantastic.
Is that
Brilliant.
Halil
Yeah.
Gibran? Is that Halil Gibran, Martin?
Post that
No,
on.
it's not. It's actually it's that this is somebody very prolific. He's called Anonymous.
Oh,
But I
I
have
thought
to say, I think
I've
he
seen
did
some
it
of his
well.
other work or her other work.
Yes.
First part was something I've heard many times. The first paragraph that you read was something that I've seen it somewhere.
Yeah, it's quite often quoted, but this was a good moment for it.
Excellent. Thank you, Martin. It's very apropos. Thank
Awesome.
you. And thanks everybody.
thank
Thank
you,
you, all of
everybody.
you guys for
Yeah.
being so consistent and part of, supporting us, because honestly, it's you guys that motivate us to try and be forthcoming with something that is of consequence. And if you weren't there, Dan and I would be having a conversation about, things that may not be so.
We did that on our book club on Wednesday night.
Yeah.
Wednesday night we got on to talk about our book club, and Lawrence and I were the only two on there for a period of time. And I was like, "Do you want to get going?" He's like, "Let's get going." And so it was just Lawrence and I talking to each other for 10 minutes on Facebook Live. And then, 4 or 5 people ended up joining in, with the holidays and everything. I'm sure people had other things to do, but, we did it regardless, whether there was anybody on there or not. But, it's obviously better when we have a captive audience who appreciates it and, put into practice some of the things that we chat about on these Friday calls.
Good.
So, thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Dan.
Happy
Thank
New
you,
Year.
everybody.
Happy New Year, everybody. Let's make 2023 our best year yet.
Thanks, you guys. Happy New
Blessings
Year.
to everybody. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And congratulations, John Schwartz.
Yeah, good job, John.
Absolutely, John.
Thank you. I appreciate that.